Expectations. When you go to the airport, chances are, if you're a responsible person, that you're gonna arrive with ample amounts of time before your flight. And that's because you don't really know what to expect at the airport. You don't know if you're gonna be able to fly right through security, have time for a meal before your flight and then get on, or if you're gonna be super stressed out because the line was so long at security, maybe you got lost, or you just don't know what you're doing. In other words, your expectations for the airport is that you are not in control and you want to have that extra time built in. Well, this is the same as home buying, and the reason I want to talk about setting proper expectations when you're going into your home buying journey. Of course, timing is going to be an unpredictable thing because even if you're ready and willing to purchase today, you still actually have to go out, find a house, write up an offer, and hope that that offer is actually good enough to win and get you under contract in that house. And then that's basically really when the actual timeline in real estate begins, because now you're going to have to wait another 30 to 45 days, if all goes right, for that house to actually become yours and you become the new owner. And in the world that we live in today, with the ease of technology and the ease of use of purchasing things off of Amazon that you can have literally delivered the next day, you want things now, and that's not typically how it goes in real estate. When going to purchase a home, if you want to put yourself in a great position and have the least chances for any unwanted surprises, well, you're going to want to take time to actually plan your purchase. And by this, I mean when you get serious about buying a home, you want to devise a plan of what you're going to do. This includes finding a real estate agent, choosing a lender, and coming up with a list of criteria that should include a list of must-haves and a list of absolute deal breakers that once you see that, you are completely out on that house no matter what. This way you're setting your expectations great and establishing those relationships early on in the process with a real estate agent and a lender will also let them be able to portray the expectations you should have when you get more and more serious about getting closer to purchasing a home. The lender will help you create a budget and get you pre-approved to actually purchase a home. They'll be the ones that will kind of tell you the top price you should be looking at and also all the documents that you're going to want to get and actually have ready to give them for this pre-approval, because that is also one of those stressful points, is actually securing all the documents you need, because it can be a handful. Then having your agent from the get-go is great because they can help with any preliminary purchasing questions. And then they also, once you're actually ready to go purchase a home, well, guess what? The agent already knows you and what you're looking for. So the whole relationship is just going to work better because you've had more time to build that client-agent relationship. And now that you have your stuff together and your personal expectations are set on kind of what you can purchase, what you should be looking for a house, and your list on your criteria, what you want and what you don't want, is now that you have to understand the actual real estate market expectations. And on average, the typical home buyer is going to look at 8 houses before even making an offer. 8. Chances are you're not just going to go out on some Saturday, see one house, fall in love with it, put in an offer, and actually get that offer accepted all in one little swing. Those chances are very low. And of course, I can't tell you your exact market expectations that you should have, but if you are looking for a buyer's agent in New Hampshire and feel that we would be a good fit, feel free to reach out and I'll be happy to tell you all about our real estate market. But as the buyer, it's important for you to have this conversation with the real estate agent that you choose and just going over, hey, what's the market looking like? Are homes still going for above list price? Are there still multiple offers on every listing? Are people still waiving home inspections? These are need to know things for you to actually be competitive in the real estate market and have a chance to get your offer accepted. And the last expectation I want to touch on is one that I feel like everyone knows subconsciously, but when they're going to spend hundreds of thousands of dollars, they expect what they're purchasing to be perfect. And that's typically never going to be the case, because close to 70% of home sales are not new construction, meaning you are buying a used house. You are buying a house that has been lived in. You're buying a house that is going to come with some problems. The reason I want to touch on this in this video is because I see all the time and hear all the time about buyers' stomachs absolutely dropping when they receive a 40-page home inspection with every little defect pointed out, and it just becomes super overwhelming. But you have to understand, again, you're buying a used house and the job of the home inspector is to point out every little defect, including just missing covers on outlets and tiny little things that don't actually matter like in the long run of things, but they're going to be on that report and it can get overwhelming. And trust me, I know this feeling because I have went through it 3 times as a buyer myself and numerous times as the buyer's agent, going over these reports, talking them through and kind of actually deducing the report to what is the actual problem and not all these just tiny little things that they're going to call out for you. But just know, even in new builds and new construction homes, these home inspectors are still finding defects. And I know that was a lot. You're probably like, oh, this dude's a bummer. But trust me, I'm not. I love real estate and the power it brings to people in building their wealth. But I'm also a realist, and I know a ton of agents don't just put all this information out there because they want the home buying process to come off as a fairy tale of perfect finding your dream home, getting it for a great price that you're gonna be happy with and all this stuff. And that's not necessarily the case. It can be a tough process and it can be stressful. But if you set your expectations properly and actually have a plan to execute on those expectations, then you're going to be leaps and bounds ahead of other home buyers. And one more thing I kind of want to add, which touches upon the expectations, is when you pick an agent that is good and works with you well, but maybe after a couple homes and couple tries of putting in offers, you're just not hitting it and not getting something accepted. Deep down, you're getting frustrated, but you don't want to say anything. Just understand that agent wants to find you a house. They are trying to find you a house. Like, one, that's a very fulfilling thing to actually help your customer find a house. And 2, that's how they make a living, is finding you houses and selling you houses. Now, I will say after maybe a couple failed offers, you should go up to your agent and be like, hey, what are we doing wrong? Like, what are we missing? Is it price? Are we saying too many contingencies? Like, what is that weak point that we can fix to have a better chance at this? That is a completely fine conversation to have, and chances are your agent's going to appreciate it, because a lot of times buyers will kind of just keep silent and then hold kind of a grudge that something's not happening. But again, it's the real estate market and dealing with those conditions. However, I can promise you that if you actually take the time to plan and prepare for your home purchase, you are going to be leaps and bounds ahead of these other home buyers that just go out on the whim on a Saturday, try to find an agent off of Zillow Connecting, and they don't even know if they can afford a house, what they can afford for a house, or even if they can qualify for a house. You're going to be so far ahead of them. So just know that planning and preparing is a huge deal in the home buying process. And I will catch you guys next week.